Questions about the animals as we go, you are welcome to shout those out or save them till the end. Either way, if I can hear you, I'll answer. But please don't shout or make noises at the animals. They live here, and make sure to be respectful towards them. For the respect of the people around you, make sure we are keeping our voices to prevent your voice level. Take as many pictures or videos as you want. Have cameras or phones out and ready to go on a sports or an action setting if you have one. We'll stop for as many animals as we can, but we cannot stop for everyone. Can't stop for long, only a few seconds. And they don't stop for us, so it's going to be ready for them. The antelope on the left, if you can see the orange one with the horns angled back, is a bongo. Up on the hill to the right, we're going to see a couple of copies, and it looks like on the left and right side of the road, we'll also have greater kudu. Bongo are very, very shy. They're actually nicknamed the ghosts of the forest because they're all quiet they can be. And this one crossing our road is going to be one that we're going to see a little bit more often. The greater kudu here found in a few different habitat types. Now when they're alarmed, they actually can make a loud barking noise to warn each other of danger. Only the male kudu have horns. Their horns are 6 feet long and spiral in shape. And up on the hill to the right, you can see those okapi a little bit better. One of the rarest animals on Earth, and we're not even sure how many remain in the world today because of how elusive they are. From their striped legs, they might have reminded you a bit of a zebra, but they're actually the only living relative of a giraffe. They have the same shaped head as a giraffe and the same long, prehensile tongue. They'll use to lick their eyeballs, clean their ears out, or grab the food they want off the trees and bushes. So one of the only mammals that can lick their own ears, actually. That would prehensile means would be used to grab stuff. Coming up here on our left, we're going to see a couple saddle-billed storks. They're one of the tallest stork in the world. They have about a 9-foot wingspan, similar to the length of the canopy above your head. The female, I know because she has yellow eyes. The male has brown. Like all storks, they do wait for life. Now, if you want to help out the animals in the rainforest of Central Africa, there's one really great thing for you to do, and it's just recycle your old electronics. Cell phones, cameras, laptops, tablets, anything that you plug into charge has a mineral on the inside called coltan. And coltan is mined primarily from the rainforest of Central Africa. So just by recycling those electronics, that coltan can be used over and over and over again. It doesn't really go bad. It will help save the animals' lives and support the people in those areas as well. Now here we are on the Safi River. And you'll start off seeing some bird life here. You'll see some pelicans and vultures. Now the pink-backed pelican on the left here are actually working on their nests, so you might be able to see some of that. Pelican can fly 24 hours non-stop and cover distances up to 300 miles. It is really great to see that many vultures around. They eat everything gross that doesn't belong anymore, and that includes hippo poop. So also keep an eye out for shadows under the water that tell us where there might be hippo. Now, tricky part about looking for hippo is that they can't sweat. So they're usually in the water, and they can't swim, so they're usually touched at the very bottom of it. They're nocturnal, so they sleep in the water during the day and come out at night to forage on the shore, but looks like we got one on the shore over there on our left now. I start to see the trees in the way, that's pretty cool. Usually they'll eat as much grass as they can in the middle of the night. They're herbivores, they don't eat meat, but don't let that fool you. They have powerful jaws and long teeth that are just for defense. Now hippo are also poached for ivory, just like elephants, so it is important that we work to protect them. Hang on extra tight here, we're in crocodile territory now. Crocodiles have the most powerful jaws in the world, and they can be about as long as a giraffe is tall. We're talking up to 14 feet long typically for these ones, the Nile crocodiles, but they can go even larger. And they can be gentle with those jaws if they need to be. They'll pull their babies' eggs around in their mouths to help them hatch. And they carry those little ones from place to place in those jaws also, keeping them safe from other predators until they learn how to defend themselves and become those large predators. So crocodiles are excellent parents, which we don't get to say very often about reptiles. Our tree cover is opening up here. That means we're headed for the savannah next. Well, the savannah is a very delicate ecosystem. All the animals have to work together to keep everything in balance. So elephant bulldoze through the trees. They knock trees over for food or for fun. And that helps to make sure that it stays a savannah. It doesn't turn into a forest out here. Giraffe prune the underside of the trees. It'll help the trees spout new growth, make them stronger. Antelope mow the grasses. But these trucks ahead of us are not really moving a whole lot. So, or maybe slowly. I have heard on the radio there's been some different animals on the roads. We might have caught up to some of those traffic jams. Might just make our way a little extra slowly through this part of our savannah. And you'll start to see some animals out in the distance there. Don't worry, we'll get nice and close to them here momentarily. Now for the many trees that elephants knock over, they also replant them. They can't digest the seeds in the food they eat, so wherever they go to the bathroom, there's going to be seeds planted, and elephant poop makes great fertilizer, so it works pretty well. Giraffe also get pollen stuck on their noses, so when they move from tree to tree to tree, they move that pollen around, doing the same job as a bee, but more by accident. One of the animals you'll start to see out there, the zebra. It's important to have zebra around because they like to eat the longer, tougher grasses that many of your other animals can't digest as well. So having zebra is going to help make sure there's space and sunshine for the shorter, softer grasses to grow in and feed everybody else. We're going to start to see the animals out here. We will get to see them even closer here in just a minute too. But no matter what, make sure we are sitting all the way down at all times out here. A group of zebras called a dazzle of zebra, which is my personal favorite animal group name. Doesn't get much better than that. If you're in any long lines this trip though, look those up. They're pretty great. Remember, my friends, the bottoms in our seats. Oh, and now another truck is stuck for draft again. So the animals live here. They get the right of way, which means they get to be wherever they want to be, and will move when they do. Usually they're pretty quick about getting out of our way, pretty polite about it, but sometimes they really do take their time. So we'll see what happens out here. Now these animals have a lot of space to roam out here and plenty of places to hide where we wouldn't be able to see them at all. So the fact that they're comfortable enough to be out where we can see them, and so much that they're actually in our way, actually a really good sign that they're happy and comfortable. But for starters here, let's talk about those Ankole cattle there on the right. We should see them even better once we're on the other side over there, but you'll start to see them with those really big white horns. Now, Ankole cattle horns are really well adapted for living here in Africa. They have a honeycomb structure on the inside of those huge horns. Makes them very lightweight. They pump blood up through the honeycomb. It cools off there, and then it spreads down to the rest of their bodies, kind of like air conditioning, so it's pretty useful. And they're domesticated, so they'll free roam the savannah during the day. At night, they're herded into structures called bomas to help keep them safe from predators. And minimizing that human and wildlife conflicts between the people and the predators and the livestock and the predators, that's going to be a really, really important way to help save those humans and the livestock, but also keeping the predators out of the human areas is going to help save those predators' lives too. That's one of their biggest issues. So one thing we've been doing is helping to turn those bomas into something called living walls. So basically there's a fence, but there's bushes and trees and everything planted along that fence. So the roots can grow into the ground, the trees can grow into the air, and that's gonna help keep those predators from being able to get over or under the fence, keeping the boundaries between the people and the animals a little bit stronger. We've also been working to train dogs and dog trainers throughout many parts of Africa. Because we have learned that dogs, like the ones you could have at home, can be a good deterrent for cheetah especially, and also lions in many parts of Africa too. So dogs can also help maintain the boundaries. And speaking of dogs, but a very different kind, on our left we're going to start to see the African painted dogs. These guys split off from your Labrador Retriever a long time ago. They're not that closely related. Now they're also a completely different animal from a hyena, but painted dogs are awesome. They're one of the best predators in the world, and they have a hunting success rate 3 to 4 times that of a lion. They are so successful because they rely on teamwork. They're led by both an alpha male and alpha female who together decide the movements of the group, and they don't move on until everyone's ready to go. No matter how old, young, sick, or injured one individual might be, they take very good care of their own. They have to take good care of them right now too. They're facing a lot of threats. Also on our left here, you'll see the sable antelope with the long curved horns. They're not afraid to use those horns. They'll fight off even a lion if they have to. That's why they're our emblem. They're known for being tough and unyielding, just as we try to beat when it comes to defending all these awesome animals out here. And on our left, we're going to see some wildebeest and some springbok. Now, springbok are going to be these little guys that look like s'mores on legs. They're super, super cute. Also very talented. Springbok can run up to 55 miles an hour. That's why they're the mascot for many of South Africa's sports teams. They also can jump about 6 feet straight into the air at 13 feet across. And if they land from one jump, they bounce right back up. It's really, really impressive. They do to show off to their predators how fast and agile they are. Now, a group of those wildebeest, it's called a confusion because they live in huge groups. 1.5 million wildebeest, 200,000 zebra, and some other antelope also will migrate each year across eastern Africa to make up that great migration across the Serengeti. It's a journey large enough to be seen from space, but I would recommend checking it out in a nature documentary instead. It is a lot cheaper and easier that way. It's some good ones right on Disney Plus even. So on our right here, we have a really good look at those Ankole cattle there with those big horns. Now they were domesticated a long time ago, so you will see them throughout the rest of the world today too. You may also see them by the name of Watusi cattle. I hear you could even bring them into most pet stores, but they do have to stay on a leash. And you're going to see a couple of those zebra here on our right as well. Now these ones are all the Hartman Mountain zebra. They're going to be smaller than some of your other kinds. They have white bellies. Their stripes don't go all the way around like they would on the plain zebra. They also have very wide stripes, and they can climb the mountains in their ranges with their small feet. Along the Gorilla Falls Trail, you may also see the grevy zebra. That's the most endangered kind. There's only about 1,000 of them left. But we are involved with the Grevy Zebra Trust. It's an organization that's helping support the people and the zebra of those areas, especially in Kenya. And it's really awesome. It's providing a lot of job opportunities, especially for Kenyan women, to help protect those zebra too. Now on our left and right, we're going to start to be able to see some giraffe. But before we get all the way there, we have a couple zebra on the right, and also we'll see a couple eland. They're the largest antelope. The tannish grayish ones there, they can stand up to 6 feet tall at the shoulder. It still can jump 6 to 8 feet straight in the air from a standing position. Now on our left and right here, these are going to be giraffe. Giraffe are the tallest land animals. They reach up to 18 feet tall as adults, and they're about 6 feet tall as newborns. So even the shortest giraffe in the entire world is taller than I will ever be. Believe it or not, giraffe have the same number of bones in their neck as you have in yours. 7 vertebrae for them and 7 vertebrae for us. Their bones are a lot larger than ours are, but you could still say we are neck and neck. Sorry, I got one bad joke for safari. With that, they can send me to Jungle Cruise, and I can't risk that. That is true, though. They have 7 bones that long neck, just like you do. They also have about a 22-inch long tongue and prehensile lips, all of which can help them eat all the parts of trees they want, avoid the parts they don't want, like the thorns, as they'll end up with pollen all over their noses. Giraffe also eat all day long. They barely sleep. They only sleep for about 30 minutes each day, and those 30 minutes don't even have to be consecutive. They'll sleep standing up or sitting down. It's pretty rare for them to lay all the way down. They can do it, but it makes them a lot more vulnerable to predators that way, so we don't usually want that. And over here on our right, yeah, an African elephant. It's actually one of our mothers, so her adult daughter is probably around here somewhere too. The girls do stay with their families their whole lives. Elephants eat about 300 pounds of food each and every day. They have to eat so much because they have very inefficient digestive system, so half of what they eat comes right back out, looking more or less the same as it looked when it went in. There's actually so much grass and elephant poop it's used to make paper. You can check it out at poopoopaper.com if you want some. I have some. It's pretty great. It saves trees too. But not many places can supply 300 pounds of plants per elephant per day. That's a lot of food. So they're always on the move to look for more and more and more. And a little bit too often lately in many parts of Africa, elephant are finding farmland. That's going to be the 17-year-old daughter back there, which is more than adult in the elephant world, but still see her. Make sure we're keeping our little ones completely seated at all times, people. But the elephant have been finding farmland in many parts of Africa. When they find a farm, they eat the entire thing. They treat it like a free buffet in a playground. So often, it's leading into a lot of conflict between the people and the elephant, because the people could lose their whole livelihoods when the elephant comes through. That's why we started working with the Save the Elephant Foundation. They're a really great group helping out elephant, and we were working to study how elephant communicate. Turns out elephant talk to each other all day long. They can make rumbles and grumbles and gurgles and purrs and all sorts of different vocalizations. They can hear each other from really far away too, but even if we're standing right next to an elephant, our ears can only hear about 20% of the noises that they make. So we have a special technology to help us hear the rest. That's how we learned elephants are afraid of bees. And we're going to see a couple more here on our left too. It's going to be a young male. So elephants have a special rumble that they make just to warn each other when there's bees in the area. Turns out they don't like them at all. They have very sensitive skin, especially around their ears and their trunks. And the African honeybee has one of the most powerful bee stings in the entire world. The elephant never forgets, so when bees sting up the trunk, that's it. They're not putting up with that again. So we help the farmers put up bee-hive fences around the crops. That way if the elephant came too close, they'd hear those bees, warn the elephant that that area is too dangerous, and head somewhere else for lunch instead. Now, male elephants usually leave their families when they're ready to fend for themselves. That's the case for these two on our left. Think of them as like your college student elephants. So they're old enough to be on their own, but they are still going to get bigger and more mature. They hang out alone a lot of the times, but they can band up with other elephants when they want to. Group up into these little bachelor herds, and that's what these two have done right here. They won't hang out together all day, every day by any means, but they are now, which is pretty cute. So they like to play, wrestle, goof off, have fun, pretty much all day long whenever they're together. Now the two biggest issues for elephant is going to be poaching and habitat loss. You need to eat at least 300 pounds of food each day, or need an awful lot of space to help provide that. Now when it comes to poaching for elephants and for hippos, definitely keep an eye out for anything made out of tagua nuts. It's a nut that grows on a palm tree that when polished looks just like the ivory from those animals, which will help save those animals' lives if we use that instead. Elephants are so influential in the ecosystem that if we lose them from an area, we're losing a lot more than just the elephant too. They're one of the most important animals out there. Now coming up here on our left, we're going to see a whole flamboyance of greater flamingo. It's one of the tallest types of flamingo, and also the palest shade of pink. They stand between 4 and 5 feet tall usually. They often are standing on just one leg. And their food does come from their diet. They eat shrimp and algae, but teeny tiny shrimp and algae just floating in the water. The more they eat, the pinker they become, because that food contains beta carotene, which is actually also the same thing that makes carrots and sweet potatoes orange. So if you've ever heard before that if you feed a human baby a bunch of carrot or sweet potato babies, they'll get orange into their skin, that's exactly what's happening to flamingos too. But each one reaches a different shade. Up next, looks like we're gonna have a mom and baby rhino. I say baby. This guy's almost 1.5 years old and already well over 1,600 pounds. Still very cute though. White rhino weigh in at around 5,000 pounds each. And they're the most social of all the different types of rhinos. They like to live in groups, and a group of rhinos is called a crash because they have horrible eyesight. They rely a lot more on their sense of hearing. It's also where you get the myth of a charging rhino. They really are not aggressive by nature, but they can't see all that well, so they do have to run to get a closer eye on things. They're also not white, as you might have noticed. Their name actually comes from a mispronunciation of the Afrikaans word for wide. It's referencing their wide upper lip. So most other rhinos are going to have a pointed upper lip that they use to grab leaves off the trees. But white rhino don't have that. They're really giant lawnmowers to eat the grass instead. A white rhino, like all rhino, are endangered, and their big issue is poaching for their horns. So rhino horn is believed to have medicinal properties, but it's not true at all. Their horns are literally made out of the same stuff your fingernails are. In fact, they file their horns down to whatever size and shape that we like, just like we do with our fingers. Also up on our left, you'll see a cheetah sleeping up on the hill. Not always very easy to see, but she's there.
Oh, I see it.
Cheetah are the fastest land animals. They reach speeds between 60 and 70 miles an hour. And they reach those speeds very quickly too, in just about 3 seconds. They have a similar acceleration rate to the rock and roller coaster. Despite appearances though, cheetah are not technically big cats. And in order to be considered one of the big cats, they'd have to be able to roar. They can't. They can only purr or hiss. They sound like a house cat. There's another one in the top left corner. A couple of them up here. Cheetah also cannot retract their claws. Other cats pull their claws in when they're not using them to keep them sharp and safe from hunting. But cheetah claws stay out all the time and end up working like soccer or football cleats, helping them grip the ground and giving them better traction while they run. And they're built for speed, not for power. So cheetah actually have adapted to hunt and be active during the daytime. Because if any other predators find them with a meal, they usually just steal the meal right from the cheetah, which isn't really fair for cheetah at all. So they hunt while the other animals are still sleeping, like on our left. We'll see a few lions up here. Lions sleep for 16 to 20 hours each and every day, conserving as much energy as they can. When they do want to hunt, they're going to hunt at night when they can use that excellent night vision for more of an advantage. And it'll be the female lions doing the hunting for the prize. They're actually a lot better at it than the males are. Even at their very best though, lions only have about a 20% hunting success rate, so they do need every advantage they can get. And their body is kind of designed to eat a really, really big meal. They can eat a whole bunch at one time. And then they can make that meal last as long as possible. So often, lions don't eat every day. In fact, sometimes they eat more like every week or two. And especially when they are not very good at hunting, they don't know exactly when that next meal is coming. So they're going to want to make sure they sleep as much as they can, conserve as much energy as they can, so when they really, really need it, they have it. Now, they're at the top of the food chain, which seems like a great place to be, but it's not really. In order for there to be enough lion, every level below them in the food chain has to be healthy first, so there won't be enough resources to support the animals at the top, which is how we've lost half the world's lions in the past 30 years. We're working to try to double how many lions live in Africa once again, but it is going to take some time. Look up the Lion Recovery Fund. That's the name of, that's the group that we're working with to help achieve that. On our left, on the other side of that one fallen log, there's what looks like a few hairy rocks. Those ones are warthog. But a little closer here, we're going to see some water buck on our left. They need a lot more water than your average antelope. That's how they get their name. They also have really cute heart-shaped noses, and they can waterproof their coat, but the secretion they release to do it smells really bad. You can see a few more rhinos here on the right, and then the little antelope on our right here up front is a bantamok. He is a star. He's posing for us. He knows it. So I love rhinos, okay? But rhinos are one of the animals I'm most scared for out here. They're an animal we really could lose. 3 out of the 5 species are critically endangered. For 2 of them, there's less than 100 individuals left in the entire world. That includes zoos. So rhinos are an animal I'm scared for. But when I see animals that I'm really nervous about, like the rhinos and the elephants and the lions, I think about that little bantamok. Because at one point, there were only 17 bantamok left in the entire world. There are more people in this truck right now than there were bantamok anywhere. But one farmer wanted to help them, so he went out and brought as many as he could onto his land and kept them there with a pretty simple fence because they can't jump. From those 17 remaining bantamok, he did find them all, and then they brought their numbers all the way back up So today they're back at healthy and sustainable population sizes. They actually outgrew the first national park they built for them because they did bounce back so well. Bounce back are proof that one person can make a really big difference, and we can save animals even from the brink of extinction. But if we're gonna do that, if we want all the animals out here to get a happy ending, it's gonna take everyone doing their part. That's what this farmer on our left is doing. These goats here are the Nigerian dwarf goats, and they're adorable. Look at all those babies. But even the grown-ups don't get all that big, so they take up a lot less space than other livestock does. They also can produce very sweet and high-protein milks and cheeses that'll lessen the farmer's reliance on other wildlife. The yellow thing hanging in the yard is one of the beehive fences from the the Elephants and Bees project that I mentioned earlier. And these are some really great ways to help support wildlife if you're a farmer living off the land in Africa. Personally, as cute as those goats are, I am going to keep getting my milk and cheese from the grocery store. And I don't have any elephant in my backyard that I need to worry about. Even if that's the case for you, there are a lot of different things that each of us can do. In fact, there are more animals at risk of extinction than pretty much any time before. But there's more that we can do to save them than ever before even also. And those choices and actions we make every day make a difference. So let's do our best to try to make it a good one. Here, just by being here today, you're already helping us help wildlife, and we have a lot of great stuff going on. Some of the money you're spending in the park will go back towards our animal conservation programs. We have so many different projects. One of my favorites is our white rhino breeding program. We have one of the most successful breeding programs for white rhino in the whole country. There have been 13 white rhino born on this reserve so far, and some of them are living in the wild in Uganda today, having calves of their own, which is excellent news. It's proof that there is things that we can do to help support those animals that are more at risk. It's not easy to eat messy food with feathers all over your face, so that's going to be really important too. It looks like it's our turn, so as always, go out, go make a difference out there. Thanks for riding along with me today. If you have any questions, come on up to the front to ask. On the right, watch your hands.